Hello, my name is Ngozi, and thank you for inviting me to come and speak to you about this important topic, sleep hygiene. I feel this is a very important topic, especially now that we are all sheltered in, because of this uh, coronavirus pandemic. Everybody is stressed out, and I'm sure that some of us who have our sleep affected as a result of sleep, and so it's important to talk about how we could improve our sleep. So sleep hygiene is one of the ways. Talking about how we can improve our sleep. So before we delve into that, I'll just start by um, showing you the outline of what we're going to discuss today. So this is the outline of how we're going to go, what we're going to talk about. And like I was saying, sleep hygiene are all those things, changes that we can make about ourselves, about our life, about our behavior, about our environment, about the way we live our lives, how about diet, physical activity, all the things we can do to improve our sleep, so that the way we sleep, our houses, environment, how so that we'll be able to sleep better, have a better restful sleep, and sleep more restfully and remain healthier. And the normal amount of sleep that an individual needs to sleep to be healthy is 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. And over the years, as this chart down here shows, the from about 1942, the average US adult was sleeping 7.9 hours, which was good. That was almost 8 hours of sleep that time. But now it has dropped down to um, 6.8 hours. Actually, by 2018, it has dropped to 6.57 hours, 6 hours and 57 minutes. So it has significantly dropped as a result of so many factors. One of which is people have become more busy because of a lot of lifestyle. People are multitasking. People have a lot of things going on. If I may ask, how many of you here, have are working? How many of you have jobs? Okay, and how many have jobs and are going to school as well? And how many people have two jobs? So you see, so it sometimes, people have a lot going on. So it's already difficult enough to have one job and then to have two jobs. And some people have two jobs and they're also going to school. So it's a lot. And on top of that, some people have two jobs and they have children, or they have two jobs and they have children and they're also going to school. There are some young people like that there are some people that had children as teenagers, or some people had children as very young, very young adults. So it's possible. So some people have a lot to deal with, and especially now that kids are at home, they are not going to school. So it's a lot to juggle with, so sleep is it's a very important, thing that people have to deal with, how to manage it. So, and it's important to know that up to 1 out of every 5 adults in the US do not get enough sleep. And not getting enough sleep can significantly affect your health. In fact, it can cause premature death if you do not continue to deprive yourself of sleep and not get enough sleep. And we're going to see how that can happen, because some diseases can occur as a result of that. So why does this matter? This matters a lot because sleep is when our body, really recovers from a lot of the things that it goes through as a result of our daily lives. So when we sleep, that's when our body rests, because we even say it ourselves, I want to go and sleep, I want to rest. That's when we rest. That's when our body rests. That's when our blood pressure goes down, our body temperature goes down, our hormones, all the proteins that control our body functions, our DNA, which is the protein that controls the functions of our cells, and our hormones, the chemicals that control the functions of our body. That's when our bodies, functions good. And if you calculate how much time we spend sleeping in our lifetime, it's up to almost 1/3 of our lifetime we spend sleeping. That's important because we need it to be able to recharge ourselves so that our body will rest and continue to renew itself and be able to function properly. But what happens if we don't sleep well? Well, if we don't sleep well, bad things will happen. And what are some of those things? If we don't sleep well, like I said, you can develop problems. And some of those problems are, health problems. A lot of, health problems, including things like weight gain, obesity, and so many problems, diabetes, heart disease, a lot of health problems can result as a result of that. And other problems, people can have fatigue. First of all, if you just take, for example, if any day, I don't know if any of you have noticed, as every, any day you don't sleep well, let's say, for example, any day you sleep, you don't sleep enough, I'm sure if you wake up in the morning, of course, you must have noticed that maybe you feel tired or you don't feel rested. There are some days you wake up, you feel, I don't feel as rested as I usually feel. Yeah, it's because you did not get enough sleep. So that happens. So you feel fatigued. You don't feel, so if you do that consistently, that can seriously affect your health. So that, happens. So if you continue to do that, so your productivity, your concentration, your everything about you will change, and that could lead to what is called burnout. So there are other things that can happen. People start making mistakes at work. People start accidents that can even cause, serious injury or even loss of life, or mistakes that can, like medical errors, or people that fly planes, or drive vehicles to kill people. So it's serious. So there are other things that could happen as well. So, but for young professionals, this is important, especially now. People that work in tech jobs, have this type of problems a lot because they work long hours. They work up to 20 hours. They have all these targets that they are given to meet. They are well paid, and they are expected to meet these targets. They code, they may spend 20 hours coding and, expected to produce all these apps and everything. So they are under a lot of pressure, and most times they end up not sleeping well. And some of them may even take substances, like Adderall, to help them stay up in order to meet their targets. And that could, be very, very, problematic, if somebody maintains that going on for a long time. So why do all these things matter? It's important because at this point, I think it's important for us to understand why we should understand how we sleep. Because if we understand how we sleep, we'll easily understand what we can do to improve our sleep. So the next thing we're going to see is how we sleep, or what helps us to, what causes us to sleep. So the most important signal that helps us to sleep is melatonin. So the melatonin is the sleep hormone, the hormone that controls our sleep. And what causes the release of the melatonin is light. When light the light goes through the eyes, light signal coming from outside passes through the eyes, gets to the part of the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This part of the brain is in a place called the hypothalamus in the brain. And then the signal is sent from there to another part of the brain called the pineal gland. So this is where the melatonin, this hormone, is released, as in the formula here. So this melatonin is what controls sleep. So it's important for the level of the melatonin to reach up to the level where it's supposed to control sleep. So this diagram here that I put here shows you how melatonin goes up. At the lowest level of melatonin is usually very early in the morning. That's when it's at its lowest level, because you're not supposed to be sleeping up by morning. So it goes down to its lowest level at the morning, in the morning time. But at that morning time, that's when another hormone called cortisol is at its highest level. So cortisol is a stress hormone. It rises up in the morning, it peaks in the morning when you're supposed to be awake. Your body is charged, you're awake in the morning. So it shoots up in the morning. That's the red one. So it rises, peaks in the morning, but as the day goes on, it starts dropping. As it starts dropping, as the day goes on, your cortisol level starts going up, your melatonin starts dropping. As your melatonin starts dropping throughout the day, your cortisol is rising. So your cortisol level keeps rising throughout the day while your melatonin keeps dropping. So your melatonin keeps dropping, but as nighttime comes, your melatonin starts rising again, because it's rising again at night because you need to sleep at night. So it peaks again. The highest level is usually between 12 and 2 a.m. Around midnight, that's when it's highest level. From that midnight again, it starts going down again towards to its lowest level, which is usually around morning when it's at its lowest level. So that's how melatonin and cortisol balance themselves out. So by morning, melatonin is at its lowest level, cortisol is at its highest level. So that's how they keep, maintain that balance. So it's important to understand that there are some factors that can affect the level of the melatonin and cortisol. So if you understand those things, so avoid those things that will make the, affect them at the wrong time, so that you'll be able to maintain good sleep hygiene. So what are those things that can affect them? Those are the things that we're going to talk about now. So the risks for poor sleep, what are the things that can cause us to have poor sleep? So there are many of them, things like gender. So men have less problem with sleep compared to women. Women have more problem because there are changes in women's hormones, that affect them at different times of their life, such as when women are around their menstrual cycle, around pregnancy, and around menopause. So those cyclic changes around those times affect the level of their melatonin, and this affects their sleep as well. And then age, as people get older, the changes in the size of, the changes in the eyes affect the passage of light that get to the brain. So this affects the amount of melatonin that an individual makes, and this also affects sleep. And then people that work jobs that where they don't get enough light exposure, people that do shift job or gig job, or job that has a regular shift or irregular schedule, people like drivers or pilots, or people that do gig jobs, all this type of profession affect people's sleep because their schedule is very irregular, and that keeps them, makes their sleep also irregular. If you're uncomfortable in your bedroom, or your bed is uncomfortable, or your light is very harsh, and the light not just being harsh, if you have the light that is very blue light, or light that is very bright, this can suppress your melatonin level, because the light, the spectral luminescence of this light will suppress the melatonin level because of how the shade of the light. Other things are distractions, such as this man lying in the bedroom. How many of you here, use your phone in the bedroom, or watch TV in the bedroom, or eat in the bedroom, or read in the bedroom? Sometimes we carry our laptops. I do that sometimes myself, or try to read in the bed. All that is bad habits. Or even eat in the bed. We do that sometimes. I know, some of us do. All that is distraction, because those are not where that's not where we're meant to do all those things. The bedroom is only meant for sleeping, or for for having sex. That's all we're supposed to do there. All those other things are distractions, and those could distract your sleep as well. So people with mental health issues, mental health like anxiety, stress, bipolar disorder, PTSD, all those things can cause people to have problems with sleep. Medications, medications for treating some cold, even some over-the-counter cold medications, some diet pills, medications for treating things like Parkinson's disease, thyroid disorders. Some of those things those medications can cause sleep problems. Or healthy lifestyle, like people that do not exercise at all. Not exercising can cause people to not sleep. Or if you eat heavily, or eat very late at night, or if people that snack late at night, or use of substances like smoking, heavy alcohol use, or use of cocaine, or use of methamphetamine or PCP. Other things can cause, disturb your sleep as well. So all those are things, and some others can also affect sleep. There are other things that can affect sleep, such as some medical conditions that, like sleep apnea and other conditions. But this presentation is not supposed to. I did not make it to cover medical conditions or address all those other medical conditions. Rather, it's just to address general lifestyle changes that one can make to improve sleep. So medical conditions can, if you have any of those, any of such issues, we can talk about that in a question and answer session, or you can approach me privately after the presentation, and I could, we could talk about that privately, and that could give you more information on that. That's something you could take up with your primary care provider, or I can give you resources on how to approach that. Okay. So what can you do if you having known all these things about sleep? So there are actually things you can do. So those things that you can do are what is called sleep hygiene. So those are the behavioral, environmental, and lifestyle changes we can make to improve the quantity and the quality of our sleep. All those things are what are called sleep hygiene. So first of all is to have a pattern. You have to have a consistent pattern. You have to have a time, specific time that you go to sleep and you wake up. Because if you have a pattern, your body will get used to that pattern. It's good to have a time that you go to, have a wind down pattern. When you come back towards the evening, have a wind down pattern of winding, ending your day. Some people like to have a shower, change into their night clothes or nightgown or pajamas, settle down, your body, kind of relax yourself, get yourself comfortable, make yourself comfortable. That way, your body is getting used to sleep, getting used to it's time to settle down, time to sleep. So that way, you form that habit, and before you know it, you will get into that mode of sleeping at a particular time. It's good to have a comfortable bedroom and make your bedroom as cozy as you can make it, because if your room is uncomfortable, if the light is harsh, you will find it difficult to fall asleep. If the light is too bright or too harsh, or the light is blue, like I said, change the light to a light that has a warmer hue, like a yellow light or a red light, or even, you can turn the light off at night. You don't have to have the light on when you're sleeping. Turn it off. Some people feel better that way. If your bed is not comfortable, your pillow is not comfortable, you can change them, change the shades if they're too rough for, making you comfortable. You can change them. The temperature has to be comfortable. If it's too hot or too cold, it will make it difficult for you to sleep. Eliminate any distraction, like, don't have TV or light or your phone ringing or reading or eating in the bedroom. All kinds of distractions, try to eliminate them. And then it's important to have physical activity, especially during the daytime. It's been found that people that have difficulty sleeping, if they exercise in the daytime, especially outside, or not late at night, but late in the early afternoon, and receive daylight, that it helps them to sleep. However, now that we have coronavirus, it's not good to, stay outside a lot. Not that you shouldn't stay outside, but don't go to the parks where people are crowded. You can, go to a walking trail where you are going to be by yourself, and walk by yourself. Don't stay crowded with a lot of people, but still, it's still good to get out and, get some fresh air and, get some sunlight once in a while. But make sure you wear sunscreen or wear protective clothes so that you don't expose yourself to UV rays, of course. And then exercise, physical activity is good for weight loss as well, because weight loss is good to, if you lose weight, it will help you to reduce your risk for sleep apnea, which is what happens when people sleep and their airway closes, when their tongue falls back on it. And this makes them to have difficulty breathing, which can, when they sleep, and makes them to wake up gasping for breath. So this disturbs their sleep when they sleep, and they find themselves waking up multiple times at night. And then when they wake up in the daytime, in the morning, they don't feel very well rested. And then they keep falling asleep intermittently during the daytime. and this keeps them, sleeping and waking up during the daytime a lot. So this can be treated through medical means or through surgery, but that's not, weight loss can help to reduce this risk as well. Avoid eating large meals, and avoid caffeine, alcohol near bedtime, because these things can raise your cortisol level. And remember, you don't want your cortisol level to go up, because we want cortisol down at night. We want your melatonin to be up in the night. We want cortisol down at night. Then for people that work very long shifts during the daytime, taking power naps during break time is good. Power naps, 20, 30 minutes of sleep, is good for, to help you sleep better, has been found to be helpful for sleep at night. And then for people that find that their schedule or their lifestyle, or that they, like those of you that study, or that their job, they work at night, or your schedule, you find yourself needing to study, or like myself, I study at night. Sometimes I stay up at night studying. So I have this UV glass, the blue light glasses, and I wear it. So if you find yourself that you have to study at night, you can there are things you can do to reduce your risk of exposure to the blue-green light that you can get exposed to. Or if you like to watch TV, or some of us that like to watch Netflix, especially now that people are at home, sheltering at home, some people are not working. So people like to watch their Netflix and their Hulu and, Amazon Prime and everything. So it's still good to maintain your normal bedtime hours. So don't forget to set your streaming service, so that you still keep your bedtimes, because you still go back to work, so that you don't forget, because when it's time to go back to work, you have difficulty getting back to your work routine. So set your alarm to turn off your TV or your computer, 2 hours before your bedtime, so that it will turn itself off, so that you don't continue to get exposed to that blue light from your TV or your device continuously when you're watching TV or using your computer at night. You can use some free software like Flux to install in your laptop or your phone or your electronic devices to turn the blue light in the device from blue like this to yellow, so that it will reduce the exposure to the suppressive effects of the blue light from the device on you. You can also, if you don't have that, you can get the blocking glasses. Get these glasses that can block the blue-green lights from the screen. If you're using a desktop or laptop, you can, any other device. If you can't get the software, you can buy these glasses. They are sold online, or they are sold in stores, even Walmart. You can buy them and wear them. They're cheap. And then they will also protect you from the effects of the blue-green lights of the electronic devices as well. So I hope these tips have been helpful. You will find them useful. And I believe that if you apply some of them may apply to you, some of them may not apply to you, but I believe they will be helpful, especially now that, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of worry, but, I feel that these are useful tips. I have applied them and found them useful. And sleep, is one thing that no matter how stressed out you are, if you have a good sleep, you will have a clear head to be able to think better, to be able to focus, and to improve your health. Because one way that we can all survive this whole situation, or this COVID-19, is to remain healthy. Because if you are healthy and you don't get this disease, you will be sure to protect yourself and protect others around you. Because that's one sure way to protect other people, to make sure that you stay healthy. So good sleep is one way to remain healthy and protect yourself. So thank you very much for inviting me. I have a few external resources here for you. If you want to go to these sites, you can get more information from there. That's where I got most of the information I used for this presentation. Thank you so much, and I can take your questions now.